live there. Live. What's up, people? Welcome to another episode of Day One Mentality Podcast, where we talk about the number one thing that has the ability to make or break your dream, your mentalidad. Mentality. My name is D. I'm a private pilot. His name is Mo. He's a fitness coach. This is episode number 13. We're going to be talking about dealing with conflict. Mr. Mo, how's it going, my guy?
Not bad. Really interesting topic. We're going to be sharing our experiences and how we deal with conflicts.
Well, we'll see how far we get into that, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a huge topic, to be fair. Very
Hey.
relevant as well. Hey,
lower your voice, bro. Hey.
Do you know what? Yeah, this is what I've been trying to tell you. Yeah, you don't listen.
Listen, you know what? I don't know. And that's exactly how you should be dealing with conflict.
And the Oscar goes to? Thank you. Hey, shout out to all the many hundreds of people in the chat. I see you guys. What's up? It's in my imagination, but, you know, before, do you know, here's a thought to start off deep, right? Look at the world around you.
Mm-hmm.
Your laptop, your phone, your earphones, the house you're in, the roof, the chair, the desk. Everything was first an idea. En el principio, in the beginning, everything is just an idea. And ideas have shaped the world. So my idea is there's hundreds of people in the chat. So, hey, I'm not ridiculous. Come on.
Nice, yeah. If you're not able to like picture it in your head, then it won't happen.
Exactly, man. Exactly. How's your week been anyway?
Quite good. Yeah. Quite chill. Assignments finally finished. So able to invest more time in different things.
Nice.
You?
Yeah, it's been a crazy week, man. I had my last assignment, my year 2 assignment. So I'm officially halfway through my distance learning degree course of business management and French. So, yeah, it's been a weird week because up until like 24 hours before the deadline, I really didn't even know what I'm going to be submitting. But it's been a weird week where it's almost like, you know, sometimes on my motorbike, I feel this sometimes where I get to like 70 miles an hour roundabouts, obviously not speeding or anything. I get to 70 miles an hour on the motorway and I can feel that it has more, but something stops it. It's like, and the speed goes down, right? Because it's only a 125cc. And I've kind of felt like that this week. I kind of felt like I had some goals, I had some deadlines, but my brain kept telling me like, there's no way you can get it done in the time that you have. Like, this is crazy. Like, look, and my brain's like freaking out and I'm having to tell my brain like, relax, somehow we'll get through it. And lo and behold, I'm still here. I'm still alive. So somehow I got through it and I'm quite happy with what I submitted for my assessment. So it's just an interesting dynamic that happens in the brain sometimes. What do you think?
Yeah, that is interesting because our head sometimes can like panic for no reason, and it is good that you're able to like deal with it and like come to relax and like restructure your emotions and come to a solution. That's really good.
Yeah, thank you, man. But it was a battle, man. It was a battle to think like, just accept it, breathe it in. It's okay. Like, breathe it in. It's all right. You won't get hurt. You won't die. You have the deadline. Yeah, you don't know what you're going to submit yet, but it's fine. You'll get through it. Anyways, I'll pass it over to you. Let's get on with it, bro. Anyways, what's up to people in the chat before you talk? What's up to people in the chat? All the hundreds of people, shout out. As always, you are a participant in this conversation, so feel free to make your opinions heard. or red?
That is
Over to you.
that is that is correct. So for the people in the chat, you're able to participate here as well. The next one is going to be dream workshop. In dream workshop, we like to put forward a dream that we have in mind, and from there challenge each other of like how you're gonna deal with the problems, what challenges you have, what is the goal of what is the main purpose of that goal, and if you're there, please take part of it. So my question is, Mr. D,
Yeah.
what dream would you like to put forward?
That's a good question. I'm looking at my post-it notes on my wall where I put down all my goals. Funny enough, it's June and I'm pretty much about halfway through like the post-it notes, so that's good. What am I going to choose? I'd say dream goal to provide a scholarship for aspiring pilots. I'll go with that.
Okay, so since we know that, we have 90 seconds to try and develop that goal, and me asking you questions.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
In 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Oopsie. Go. How are you gonna find your students, the future students?
That's a good question. How am I going to find them? I'm going to have to dip into the communities I'm involved in. I'm involved in a few, especially WhatsApp communities. Aviation seems to be loving WhatsApp communities at the moment. So I think I'm going to be finding them there, but also I'm going to rely a lot on word of mouth. And I'm hoping that my videos on YouTube also kind of gain people's attention. But it will be slow. It will take time for the word to go out that actually there are annual Future Pilot 901 scholarships. So I'm expecting it to take time.
How many students are you gonna fund?
One this year. I'm hoping 2 next year. Why not? For the year after. Why not? Let's go for it. For the year after, 8 the year after. Let's go. This is what Dream Workshops is all about. Let's go. Come on.
What's the cost to find a single student?
Oh, it depends on how comprehensive the scholarship is. This year, because I'm doing it very quick, I want to do £1,000 towards flight training. But I want to look at increasing that next year. But it's a good question. Do I want to focus on quantity, which is less money for more people, or quality, which is one person through a bigger portion of their training? I'm still questioning that, but that's a good question actually I'll be thinking about, which is something I haven't thought about as much. I appreciate it, bro. What do you want to choose as your goal?
My goal is going to be bring activity kits to 50 children on the summer.
This summer. Okay, you ready?
Ready.
1 minute 30, your time starts now. Okay, so I know a little bit about what you're doing, so it gives me the chance to ask you some specific questions. What have you learned from this half term? And you don't have to share your deepest secrets, but what have you learned about how you need to market? What's the lessons you've pulled so that you can be able to improve on that?
I've learned that I should not be afraid to expand a little bit more. I try to target the age from 9 to 12, and I should have expanded it a little bit more from 5 to 10 years old, for example, or from 5 to 12. Yeah.
Okay. Who do you need in your team to help you accomplish that goal?
At the moment, it would be awesome to have someone to help me with the marketing, like creating videos or promoting those videos, advertising it a little bit, maybe. When it comes to selling a little bit more.
do you have a market? Well, you do, but
Mhm.
do you know clearly what your market strategy is? Your marketing strategy? Because
And
if you just have marketing activities without a strategy, then you could be like an octopus on roller skates.
that's why I would need someone to help me with that. So my
So
answer is no.
specifically with the strategy, right?
Yes.
So you need somebody to help you with marketing strategy as
Yeah.
opposed to the actual marketing, and then that's a secondary thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically your next thing is you need to find, yeah, find somebody to do that and sit down and
Hmm.
have that conversation with them.
Hmm.
Fair enough. Did you find that helpful?
100%. 100%.
Why is the alarm still going through, bro? It's finished now, man. Come on, this is a serious show.
Is that
See,
is
this
that
is why
mine or
we're gonna
yours?
listen. It's yours. Don't try to play that
I
mind
think
game on
I
me.
think it was yours. I think it was yours, bro.
Do not play that mind game on me. It's not me.
It wasn't mine.
See, this is why we're gonna have conflict, bro. This is a serious show, and you're bringing jokes, bro. This is no joke. This is
It is live.
serious.
I'm not making up anything.
This is listen. I want the audience to isolate the sound, yeah, and try to figure out was that sound coming from Mo or was it coming from me? Because I will not have my name tarnished. Okay, I will not have my name tarnished. Let it be known. Let it be known. Okay, over to you, brother.
So the next big question will be: is there anything? It must be something that you should have done
Wait,
during the
wait, wait,
week.
wait. Accountability time. Ba-dum. Go on.
And the question as follows is: it must be something that you should have been doing that you haven't done, or you haven't invested enough time on it.
Yeah.
Is there
Oh,
anything?
there's plenty. There's too there are too many. Honestly, one thing that I have been thinking this week. Oh, so last week I talked about money,
Mm-hmm.
and my spending kind of not really having a gauge on that. So I did some work on that, which was good, and I'm more aware again of what my finances need to be like. But because I've been changing jobs, it's been a bit. There's obviously a transitionary period. Anyways, but this week, one thing I have been thinking about is the structure, which is not very easy when you have
Mm-hmm.
deadlines where it's like a do or die deadline. Like if I didn't pass that deadline, then the last 8 months of hard work would be wasted. So it's like I then had to give up routines kind of thing. And like, I just need to get it done.
Yeah.
But I have missed structure to my day, like having a specific time to wake up and specific routine. I feel like that's been lacking. So I'm hoping that will come back next week, especially being that I'm going to start a new job. So this is why having a job is quite important because it can help to bring that structure into your day. But over to you. What about you? Is there anything that you should be doing that you haven't been doing, or are you perfect? And
I
in the
am.
chat, 1 second, bro. In the chat, if you also want to share, accountability is a very powerful tool. Like accountability allows you to catch yourself going off track and redirect yourself back on track. So it's a very useful tool to help you achieve your dreams. So if you're in the chat or in the comments, feel free to put down what you feel that you should be doing more. And just the act of putting it out there in the world makes your senses more aware of it and makes you more likely to actually follow through. Over to you, Mr. Mo.
You ask if I'm perfect. Yeah, and I am perfect. See, I am perfectly imperfect, and
You're
something that I
imperfectly
should have.
imperfect.
Yeah, and and I have is quite similar to what you said. After being like so busy, I had quite a time off now the last week, and I wasn't able to like find a routine without having like not having a structure, not being able to filling my time off that I'm not used to having. So yeah, it was that a little bit as well. Going to bed, going to sleep quite late, which I'm not used to. Waking up a little bit later. Yeah.
Do you
But
know what else is a powerful tool? Shame. Shame on you. Shame on you for sleeping late. Shame on you.
but which is I don't it's not like I'm feeling guilty, because I feel like it's also necessary to have that as well,
Yeah,
that kind
yeah,
of rest, disconnect a little bit. So
yeah, and then get back to business after that. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. You want to rest. You just don't want to rest too long.
exactly.
So yeah, I hear you. I hear you,
Hmm.
bro. All right. So a bit more structure going back into your life next week. Yeah.
100%.
Fantastic. All right. Well, moving on to the main topic, or the main topics of today's conversation. One, reviewing. We have been looking at the book, The Psychology of Money, over the last couple of episodes. And I just wanted to give an opportunity for us to mention some takeaways that we've had from the book. What would you say is one or two or three takeaways that you have from reading the book, The
Hmm.
Psychology of Money?
um I would take from the psychology of money that you actually need to experience how it is to invest with your own money. You actually
Tell me more.
need to feel of like um what it feels like investing, and understanding what is investing with your own money, and not just like talk about what you could do with your money or when you could do it, but actually just go and practicing uh, investing with your own money, and that you don't need like loads of money to make more money.
Yeah. So
those
I
those
was
two
doing
things.
that. Yeah, that's brilliant, man. I was doing an English test yesterday because even though I've been in the UK for 20 years now, and my English is expert level. Thank you. If I say so myself, I had to do an English test. And when I was talking, we had to talk about a topic, and I said investment, and they were like, "Oh, you must have lots of money." I was like, "No, it literally takes as little as £10 to invest." And so I guess one of the myths is that you need a lot of money to invest, and you don't. You don't. There are apps you can use. You can buy stocks. You can buy shares. You can invest into indices, um, and that kind of thing, which is probably the safest bet to do. Not financial advice, but yeah, it doesn't take that much to invest. And I really love the quote that increasing your savings or raising your income in a certain way is also about raising humility, right? And and in the way that they say that in the book, he talks about it, is like you don't have to show off. So stay within your means, stay within your budget. That's one way. The other way is, look, if you can only genuinely save 50p a day, 50p a week, just start doing that. Like, don't look down at the little that you can do, because it's like a seed. Over time, it grows. I also love the concept of getting, like, you don't have to try and get the biggest returns ever. You can just start, getting average returns for an above average amount of time. So again, there's
Hmm.
the idea of consistency over time. And most importantly for me, my motif over all these episodes is building your identity. Even if you save 50p a day, even if you invest £10 a week, £10 a month, you then build your identity as an investor, and that begins to transform you. Um, and if you set your goals right, you will be in a better position to attack your goals and to achieve your goals. Any final thoughts from your side?
um so much, so much. what
Sweet.
what is what is an advice that you would give to yourself, to the D from 5 years ago when it comes to investing? Because I know that you're quite active now.
Yeah, yeah. And shout out to my crypto portfolio. It's my Bitcoin portfolio is at, what do you call it? To 100, between 100 and 200% profit.
Mm.
Um, another really good concept, which I would also say to myself looking back, which comes from the book. Almost, here's an interesting thing, and as you're building a team, right, as you're building, ActiviKids, consider this. In a company, 10 like 20% of people do 80% of the work. Something like that. Yeah, it's a rough rule. So 20% of your investments will make 80% of your profits. So it's okay to have certain investments where you lose a little bit, because you don't need all of them to be successful. You just need 20%. Right? And that's something, a rule that's kind of talked about in that book. So that's something I'll tell my old self, but also I'll tell myself just start, because I took a long time to get started thinking like, oh no, I still need to do some research. Oh no. And and at some point I just said, do you know what? What's the least amount of money that I'm willing to put in that if I lose, I'll be okay? Well, I can do £10. Fine. Okay, let's get started. £10. I just so happened to have invested that £10 into Alibaba with a leverage, which I wouldn't necessarily suggest. But over the weekend, it got to 30. I was like, let's go. And then I lost some money after that. But it just meant I was in the game. You have to be in the game to win it, So that's very important.
Nice.
Just get started. Whatever you want to do, just get started. Just get in the game. You will learn as you go. That's the most important thing. And that goes with anything, whatever your dream is, whatever your goal is, just get started and don't look down on little steps. Oh, well, I've only got £10. Okay, don't look down on that. I'm only saving 50p a day. Don't look down on that. Be disciplined with it. If that's what you can do, that's what you can do. Keep going, keep stepping. How do you eat an elephant?
Is that a question to me?
Of course. No, to the person behind you, bro.
How do you eat an elephant?
Yes.
With your mouth, with your teeth, chewing it?
Yeah, but you can't. It's too big. You can't eat the whole elephant.
Oh, piece by piece?
Exactly. One bite at a time. One step. It doesn't matter how small the step is. That's how you achieve something huge, by making tiny, tiny steps that over time add up to a huge thing. So that's what I would tell my younger self, and that's what I'd advise to anyone. Shout out to people in the chat. Shout out to you, Sophia. I'm not going to say your full name. I've watched too many videos where people get you to say something ridiculous when you say both names. So I don't know if you're trying to trick us. So I'll just say
Sophia
your first
Bass.
name.
Sophia Bass?
Well, there you go. I don't know. I've just seen too many videos where people get tricked into saying something ridiculous when you put the first name and the last name together. So anyways, shout out to Sophia. Thank you for passing by. All right. So finally, yeah, you wanted to say?
No, I just wanted to include that you mentioned, just start to do whatever you want. And there is this quote that I just remembered: the best time to grow a tree was 10 years ago, and the second best time is now.
Ahora.
See, Leon.
Correct. Absolutely. So two things: one, just get started, and two, don't stop until. Because if you just start and then you stop, there's no point. You got to start, and then you have to not stop until you achieve what you said you would achieve. All right. With that said, let's move on to the final thing that we're going to talk about today, which is dealing with conflict. Now, what is the significance of this? You want to achieve your dream, whatever. You want to be a pilot. You want to be a fitness coach. You want to have an activities club for children. You're going to have to build a team. You're going to have to work with other people. And the truth is that you're going to have conflict along the way. How you manage the conflict will either leave you better off or worse off. how you manage conflict would either burn the bridges or it will build bridges. And so, even in the flight deck, when you're working with other crew members, dealing with conflict is such an important topic. So, we're not going to get through the whole topic today, that's for sure, but we can start the conversation. What are your thoughts on conflict? Actually, I'll let you into this game as well. If I'm going to date a girl, that's one of the first questions I ask.
Interesting.
That's one of the questions. What are your thoughts on conflict? And how somebody answers that question, to me, says a lot, particularly in the context of an intimate relationship.
Interesting. I feel like conflicts are necessary because life will never be like straight line, nice and smooth. You will always have to overcome some negative people around you, situations. So how you deal with them, it does say a lot about you. If you're able to deal with stress, if you're able to find solutions, if you're able to get stuck but not for too long, if you're a positive individual, if you're too negative. So it does say a lot about you, and it's something necessary because and something that comes over time. There is a lot of experience needed in there because no matter what, there is always a solution to it, no matter what it is.
Yeah, I
And
love the points you're making, bro. Keep going.
and at the end, if you have a conflict, if you look back last month and you think about a conflict that you had, and you analyze, I remember being so stressed, and now I'm thinking, why was investing so much time and energy on something that had a solution? So at the end, it won't even matter. And I remember this thing that obviously in life you do need a little bit of stress to worry a little bit, but not too much. And I remember this. I don't know where it was, but it was, if you have a problem, a conflict, can you do anything about it? If yes, don't worry. Can you not do anything about it? Have you tried everything and there is no solution to it? Then don't worry. As simple as that. It's easier say than done, but it's a good way of looking at it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, love it. So, taking some of what you're saying plus what I'm saying, I try and structure it a little bit. So, first, dealing with conflict is a skill. It's something you have to practice. You actually have to get good at. It's not something you just naturally be. Yeah, I'm naturally amazing, right? There's always something to improve. So that's one point. Another point is that conflict is normal. Again, this is obviously very overlapping with what you said. You know, conflict is normal. Conflict just means I see it this way, you see it that way. There's a conflict there, right? In aviation, if we're flying in the same direction, like in opposite directions, and we're going to kind of crash or we're flying towards each other, that's conflict, right? So the fact that we're different, we have different preferences, we have different views on things, it's great, but it also means we're going to have conflict. So it's normal. Because sometimes we can feel like, oh, if we have conflict, that means there's something wrong. But it isn't. It's normal. How you manage it now can either make things better or worse, right? So conflict is normal. Not all conflict is necessary, right? And it's important to identify which conflict. Like, for example, I like what this one psychologist says, that, you know, when you've got an issue with somebody and you start feeling resentful, there's one of two things. Either you need to grow up and suck it up, and you're being petty and you're kind of like just being overly controlling, or you're being like, you're just being like not the best version of yourself, or there's something important that you do need to say to them that you haven't been saying. One of the two. So yeah, sometimes you're just gonna have to be like, do you know what, actually, it doesn't really matter if they like sit on this seat or sit on that seat. Why am I making an issue of it? Do you know what, just leave it, because that conflict is not necessary. But the conflict where, I'll give you an example. At work, I heard that a team member was speaking about me to other people. Right? Like, now we're gonna have to talk about it, because I consider you my team member, right? Now, if you're talking about me behind my back, saying stuff, if you have a criticism of how I work, tell me, because you're my team member anyway. I want to know, right? Like, just be like, yo, I don't like the way you spoke that day because you came across this way. Oh, really? Why did I come across that way? Da, 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 da. And we have a conversation. Yeah. But talking about my back now we're going to have to deal with that. You know, so I had to confront them and say, hey, I'm open to feedback, but don't go and talk about me behind my back. Right. And so conflict necessitates, the necessary conflict needs then communication. So I'll leave you with this last thing. Something you don't know about me, maybe you do. I used to do like domestic abuse awareness a long time ago, and I used to use dance to do it, so which was very interesting. But then I also did some workshops and some research. So I came across this template on how to express yourself in conflict, which I find has lasted over time. When you do have to speak about it, it's so important to actually communicate clearly and to listen. Right? So I'll just do the communication part today, because we're only having a short episode. And then you can tell me what you think of it. So very important is not to accuse the other person. Well, you made me, or you did, right? So you would start first by just describing what happened. Okay. You didn't pick up my phone calls. Or you said this to the other person about me. Right? Just facts. No interpretation. If I say somebody was rude, do you think that's a fact?
No, because no, I don't think that's a fact.
Right, because that's a judgment, right?
Yeah.
It's rude. No, you said you're a B. That's it. Like, that's the description without any judgment. And then the second thing you say is, I felt. When you said this, I felt like you don't respect, like I felt disrespected, or I felt let down, or I felt, you know. So it's not a pointing thing, it's an I felt situation. Right? So number one, this is what happened, factual. Number two, I felt. Number three, what I need to feel respected. I need to feel cared about. I need to be in a peaceful environment. You know, I need to be at peace to be able to work properly, right? And then the last thing is actually put in a request, which interestingly, a lot of people don't make a request in conflict. And you end up arguing, like, okay, what do you actually want? And it's just like conflict, right? But a request. Could you please speak to me in this way? Or could you please do this for me? You know? And, you know, I'll stop it there. But that, for me, has been a very useful tool in putting across my thoughts to somebody, and in a way that they can actually digest it. Because you have to remember, like, when you're in conflict, there's a certain way of speaking that will make the other person not digest it. But there's a certain way of speaking that gives you a better chance. Now, they might still not digest it, but it gives it the best chance. And when you use a script like that, and it takes practice to have that, right? And it's a skill. But the more we practice, the better we get. And conflict comes everywhere. You know, relationships, at home, at work, as we're trying to build our dreams. Like, conflict can be the reason why you are delayed in achieving your dream goals. So for me, you know, it's a really important interpersonal relational skill. resolving conflict. Maybe next time we can talk about how to listen, because I had training on that because of the different jobs that I've done, and I think
Mm-hmm.
there's such a simple trick that you can use that actually really helps you to listen and to make the other person feel like you're listening to them. Because sometimes you can be in conflict and you're like, the other person's really not listening to me, right? Like, no, you're actually not listening. And they're like, yeah, no, I get what you're saying. And you're like, no, you don't. Like,
I,
so
I I
so go on.
I was just gonna add two things about the how to deal with conflict.
Yeah,
I
please.
love what you said, and I was just gonna add, try to listen more than what you talk. But of course, what is listening for some people?
Absolutely. Good
Yeah,
question. Love it.
and and the other is try to offer your help. Like, how can I help you? How can I make you? Uh, how can I what can I do to make you more comfortable?
Yeah. How
What
can we
can I
resolve
make?
this?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that.
Um, but obviously, it's more complicated than that, because, like what you said, it requires experience and actually trying it and not just saying it.
Yeah.
It
And
does
when you try it, yeah, go on, go on.
it does require a lot of energy, like dealing with conflicts. It does make you exhausted. Yeah.
The other thing is when you don't deal with, so we said at the beginning, like there's necessary conflict and there's
Mm-hmm.
unnecessary conflict. Unnecessary conflict is like, it's not really consequential. Don't really need to deal with it. I just need to suck it up and get on with
Mm-hmm.
life.
Yeah.
Necessary conflict is like, okay, this is happening over and over again. This is an issue. Okay, now it's actually affecting how how I think about you and how I relate to you. Okay, we need to do something about this. Um, so once you get to that necessary conflict, the thing is, if you let it go by, you end up having a bigger fight later,
Mm.
right? It's
Yeah.
easier for me to hear you call me a B word twice and tell you, bro, I don't like when you say that. I like that. I don't. I don't feel proximity with you. Like I don't feel like I feel a disconnection to you in that time because that
Mm-hmm.
word has a negative impact on me, right? Or I could let you do that for the next 3 years and then we have a huge fight and we never speak to each other again.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I always think, especially in a professional environment, I always think, okay, like the conflict I had with my team members, I was thinking, okay, we have to keep working for the next few months. The work that we're doing is really hard. So there isn't an option here of breaking this apart. So I
Mm-hmm.
have to be willing to give, but I also have to be clear about my boundaries. So yes, I'm willing for you to analyze and criticize my performance, and I will listen to you. I may not agree, but I will listen to you and I'll try to understand. But on the other hand is I'm not going to deal with that, like talking behind each other, and I don't talk about you. So and I think that we are a great team. Then I bring in the positive. I'm like, do you know what? We are actually a great team, and I do appreciate the fact that we are as experienced and blah blah blah, and that makes so many things easier, and I really like it. So I think one thing that you have to keep in conflict is an awareness of the bigger context, which is at the end of the day, we are family. We do love each other. At the end of the day, do you know what? We are friends. They have been there for me.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just a little issue and we're going to get through it. You know, at the end of the day, we are a team and actually we're all experienced. And I love what they bring to the team. And I love what I bring to the team and what the other person, and we're just going to get through it. So having that broader context is also important. I'll give you the final say before we wrap up the episode. And as always, if you have thoughts, ideas, please share them in the comments. Please put that in the chat because we want to hear what you have to share. And you never know who it's going to help. And definitely, one way to solidify information in your own mind is to share it and to teach it to others. Mo.
Yeah. I was just gonna say that is always different how people deal with conflict, and how their per- perception is about um conflict. My final advice is like for my younger self will be try not to take anything personal, even when
Huge.
the other when someone else is trying to make it personal. Because in order to have a fight, disagreement, or an argument, you always need two people. So if you think about what is going to make you, how it's going to make you feel in 5 minutes, is it going to be worth it? No, maybe yes. But the same thing is like try not to take it personal. But it's a good topic to invest a little bit more time that we will do in the future as well.
For sure. And finally, I would say, my number one aim in conflict so far, after years of thinking about it and researching it and trying to practice different scripts and different techniques, my aim usually is understanding. My aim is not even, I don't need you to agree with me. I don't need to convince you of anything. And I'm not necessarily coming for you to convince me of anything, but I want this conflict to be the reason why. Like, if we're going to have conflict, I might as well get something good out of it. And I want that to be understanding you, understanding what you care about, understanding how things affect you. But I also want to be understood, right? But obviously, you have to sometimes give before you can just, you shouldn't really expect of anyone. But my goal is usually not anything really other than understanding, because once you have a better understanding, everything else can fall in place. If I truly understand you, then we're probably going to have less conflict going forward, at least not about this thing. But if I don't understand you, it doesn't matter what we put in place. It's like I won't be able to adapt and shift with you because I haven't fully understood you. So yeah, great topic, man. We're going to have to come back to that. Thank you to everyone for joining us. Thank you very much for being part of this journey, the Day One Mentality podcast journey. Again, it's all about discussing all the things that are super important on the journey to achieving our goals. And for me, my journey into aviation has not been like just flight training. It's been a huge mental game. It's been a mental game of me realizing that money is not the only like form of currency, and that I didn't need money, to me then having to push myself through the training. So a big part of my journey has been the mental side of training to become a pilot. And that's why my emphasis, along with my brother here, Mo, the steady athlete, is to work on developing mentality alongside training in whatever field you're in. Because whatever your skill gains, your mentality can destroy. But if your mentality gains, your skill will catch up. So that's why we do this. Once again, thank you for joining us. Mo, always a pleasure. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate you. Appreciate you a ton. All right, guys, have a great week. Be productive. And above all, live your dream.
And enjoy the process.
Peace.